Thank you for watching Taino Lifestyle. I am your host, Chino, and today is Monday. We're going to have a nice conversation today. Today's conversation is about patriotism. Um, Basically, who would be considered an American patriot? So I'm going to let that kind of sink in a little bit. And while I'm getting everything set up for this little short presentation, um, that word patriotism keeps it's thrown around all the time. Everybody talks about patriots and this patriot, that and this patriot, and one specific group feels that they're patriots. The other, they want to blame the other group, saying that they're not patriotic, that they're just making messes, making just burning stuff and looting, and I'm like, well, what if they're patriots as well? So we're going to get on it. Let me just go ahead and get this situated real quick. It's going to take me about a second. Okay, there we go. We're back in service. And here we go. So again, and we're talking about patriotism. Who are the American patriots? And as you see here, it says, can patriots come from both sides? And I think that's a very interesting question nowadays. Being the climate that we're in right now, you have your liberals and you have your conservatives and you have your right and your left, and then you have those like me that are in the middle. And I'm just watching both sides acting a fool, So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this patriotism. All right. I do remember that when I was in the Navy, before I joined the Navy, I had to swear an oath. And this was an oath that has always stayed in my mind. And it goes a little something like this. It's like, I solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, clue word, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. This was an oath that many of us gave to serve this country, to defend this country, to defend this country's assets, to protect the ideals and the assets of this country. And I say that because a lot of people have this dreamland thing about the United States, like, oh yeah, we're just defending our country. Like, oh yeah, no, we're not defending our country really. We're really protecting assets all over the world. It seems like that's what we've been doing. We don't get attacked. Nobody comes from a different country and comes to the United States and attack us since Pearl Harbor. And I thank God for that. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to say that, well, they should come and attack us. That's not what I want. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to say that nobody has ever really attacked us. So who are we really fighting with? Well, we're really fighting with countries that have their own issues, and we're either helping them out because we're about to get some kind of asset in return, or we're helping them out because they do have an asset that we want. And so we're going to help them out until we get their asset. And I'm just being real with you. And I know a lot of veterans are probably going to be upset for what I'm saying, but it's the truth. We all know it's the truth. We're basically like the bodyguard, that gets bought, bodyguard for hire kind of situation, right? So anyways, based on this oath, it does says that we will defend against enemies foreign, which is fine. Foreign enemies, somebody comes in from a different country. Yeah, it makes sense. But what about the domestic ones? And see, this is where it gets hairy. It says foreign and domestic. Well, then who's your domestic enemy? Could it be the government? Could it be the right side? Could it be the left side? Who knows? Could it be a race? Could it be a specific color of people? Could it be people that like dogs versus people that like cats? Who knows? There's a very thin fine line right now these days. And that's what I want to talk about, patriotism and what we're here for. So I'll tell you what, like I said, I'm here to protect against any enemies, foreign or domestic. Domestic means to me, it doesn't matter what side you are. If you're coming to my house to attack my family for whatever reason, you will be met with resistance. And that's what I stand for. All right. So, okay. So let's see, what's a patriot? All right. A patriot, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, which is from England. All right. It says that a person who loves their country and is necessary and if necessary, will fight for their country. Makes sense. Let's look at Webster Dictionary. They say, one who loves and supports his or her country. All right, let's look at the Urban Dictionary. The Urban Dictionary says, a real patriot is someone who loves their country enough to speak up when they see something that needs to be changed, not someone who blindly assumes that their government knows best and is always right no matter what. So if we look at all three of these descriptions of the word patriot, definitions, we see that it's basically somebody who loves their country, right? Person who's going to love their country, who's going to defend their country. If something happens in their country, a civil war, you're fighting for the rights of your country, for your rights, your family rights. It's all about this country. It's about the American people. So it's not about right or left. It's not about conservative, liberals. It's not about none of that. It's about America. It's about us. It's about the country. All right. So that's what a definition of a patriot is. So some groups would have you think that they're patriotic. Example, you get these Trump groups, these Trump supporters, and usually when you see them protest or come against protesters, not protesters, right? I guess rioters and looters, and they come against those people. Is usually of the Caucasian persuasion, usually some type of southern state, right? And you always see them with the Trump flag and a Blue Lives Matter flag. And if you've been following what's going on with a lot of these militias kind of do that too. You see them with their little militia emblem, whether it's the Proud Boys, whether it's the Third Percenters, whether it's the Oath Keepers, whether it's, you name it, Boogaloo Boys, you name it. All these groups, they all come out, they have the representation. But you always see them with the Don't Tread on Me flag. You always see them with the Trump flag and the Blue Lives Matter flag, usually in conjunction. Okay. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I guess they're patriotic. That's cool. But let's talk about, domestic. And I would say a domestic enemy would have to be a tyrant. right? So let's see what a tyrant is. All right. So according to Webster, a tyrant is an absolute ruler unrestrained by law or constitution, a usurper of sovereignty, a ruler who exercises absolute power oppressively or brutally, and then one resembling an oppressive ruler in the harsh use of authority or power. That's according to Webster. Now, in Wikipedia, the word tyrant has a broader, I guess, definition. It says, in the modern English language, the usage of the word tyrant is derived from the ancient Greek word that was tyrannos. It is an absolute ruler who is unrestrained by law, and one who has usurped a legitimate ruler's sovereignty. Often portrayed as cruel, tyrants may defend their positions by resorting to oppressive means. The original Greek term meant an absolute sovereign who came to power without constitutional right. So yeah, basically, uh, the world has a neutral connotation during the archaic and early classical periods. However, Greek philosopher Plato says that tyrannos, as a negative word, and on account of the decisive influence of philosophy on politics, its negative connotations only increases, continuing into the Hellenistic period. So basically, when we see here a tyrant, it seems like they can come in many forms. Basically, a tyrant is a ruler. I guess I'm going to say it in other words. It's a ruler that has um, no respect to the Constitution, to the laws. Um, this ruler does what he wants to do and expects for the law to not apply to that person. However, the law will apply to everybody else, but not to that person. Um, and if you really want to, if you really want to go there, if you really see what's really going on, I mean, Trump can be pretty much a tyrant. If he's not a tyrant, he's right there. You see what I'm saying? He didn't pay his taxes. He paid $750. I mean, dude, you're a millionaire. I don't get that. I mean, I'm not a millionaire. I'm just a regular guy, and I've paid well over $1,000, $2,000 in taxes, and I'm just a regular little guy. I'm just a normal guy. But Trump paid $750 for 2016, 2017, 10 years before that. He didn't even pay his taxes, but yet he's still alive. He's not in jail. He's the president of the United States now. Um, he doesn't agree about anything. He throws his tantrums. If people go against him, he tries to squash the opposition. I mean, in my eyes, I feel that Trump is very tyrannical. He has this idea that he wants to be almost like a dictator. It's almost like he wants to be a dictator without being checked. And then when they do try to check him, that's when he wants to go crazy on them, and he finds all these loopholes, and I don't understand that. But yeah, anyway, so that's the kind of that's what we're living in right now. So again, I was speaking about on the right side, you got these these Trumpers, and these guys that defend him and protect him, and every time he says something, they're like gun ho about everything he's saying, and it's just like that's crazy. And then on the left side, everybody's complaining about Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and I'm sitting here, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, so you're trying to tell me that those guys, those predominantly Caucasian people that have the Blue Lives Matter, um, that have the Trump flag, that have the Don't Threat of Me flag, they are patriots. But you're telling me that the people that are fighting on the Antifa side, they're not patriots. And I beg to differ. I feel that those people fighting for Antifa and Black Lives Matters, they are also patriots. They are fighting they're fighting what they think is a tyrannical government. Um, an arm of the tyrannical government is the police. When the police kill these Black people and brown Latino people, and a lot of people, they're not talking about this a lot. But if you go down to the border out here in Texas, there's a lot of atrocities that go on down there without people knowing, and what they're doing to these Mexicans or Latinos that are coming down there. Of course, CNN and Fox News never talks about it, but there's numerous documentaries that talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Um, so they're killing these Black people, they're killing these brown people. They went down there to the I don't remember, somewhere. I want to say it was Arizona. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but they were trying to build a pipe in there, and these people, these Native Americans, they were like, no, we can't do that. This is sacred land. And these Americans were like, yeah, we don't care. I mean, this is our country now. We took it over from you guys. We don't care. We're going to build a pipe through there. And it's crazy. It's crazy. I think it's crazy how this country can be so disrespectful sometimes to other races. Um, you know, and I think it's funny how they talk about, nowadays they talk about Black on Black crime. Well, let's talk about that for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? When the big influx in the, was it 20s, 30s, 40s of immigrants came over, you had Irish people coming over, you had Italians, you had Polish, um, the Puerto Rican migration from Puerto Rico to the States was around that time, the 30s and 40s. Um, there was a lot of migration coming into the United States around that time, which is crazy because that's the time that it was like, predominantly when they had the Great Depression, you know what I'm saying? But it was a lot of people coming from different countries, you know, and during those times, you never heard anything about white on white crime. When the Irish were fighting the Irish, the Italians were fighting the Italians, the Irish and the Italians were at war with each other. When the mafia was formed, they were killing each other, and nobody mentioned anything about white on white crime. You know what I'm saying? Um, Nobody said anything about police brutality when the Irish created the police department. Well, not created, but they were the main people in the history of the police. The Irish, and those Irish people sometimes were a little bit rough, man. You know what I'm saying? Especially with Latinos and like the blacks. Um, you know what I'm saying? And nobody ever mentioned anything about them. You see what I'm saying? But now we have videos everywhere. Cameras that have videos, cars have videos. There's a video in a corner. There's cameras everywhere. I mean, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. So now you hear, oh yeah, Black on Black crime. Oh yeah, these Black guys are killing these Black guys. These Black guys are killing the brown guys. They're all killing each other. Yeah, that's normal. I mean, when the white Europeans came here, they were doing the same thing. I mean, a perfect example of that is a movie called Kings of New York or Gangs of New York. I mean, that movie right there, those guys were all white. It was Irish and Irish and Americans and British and Italians. They were all in there fighting each other, killing each other with bats and chains and whips and all kinds of craziness. You know what I'm saying? But then when we do it, it's an atrocity. I don't get it. You know. But yeah, anyways, back to the tyrannical government. Yes, there is a tyrannical government right now. When the police is killing you, you know what I'm saying? Because they stopped you and you asked them a question on why, and they just come and kill you. Yeah, that's tyranny. You know, um, and there's a lot of words that have been thrown around a lot lately. You hear fascism, you hear communism, socialism, you hear all these big words, and it's kind of like, what's really going on with that? So I want to talk about fascism. Fascism is a big one because you have Antifa on board right now, and they're fighting what they think is considered fascism. So let's see what fascism is. All right, according to the Webster Dictionary, they're saying it's a political philosophy movement. It's a regime, okay, that exalts a nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorship type leader. Severe economy and social regimentation and forcible suppression of opposition. That's fascism. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Especially the part where it says forcible suppression of opposition. Hmm. So then you got over here, according to Wikipedia, you got fascism. They're saying um, it's an authoritarian ultra nationalism. Now, how many people remember Trump saying that he's a nationalist on TV? I do. I remember he said that. Um, you know, and how about this Trump movement? Is it ultra nationalist to you? I feel it is to me. Um, so you know what I'm saying? So it's basically this is characterized by dictatorial power, a person that wants to be more of a dictator versus a presidential person. Um, they force suppression on the opposition. Every time somebody opposes Trump, what does he do? He poses oppression on that person. He calls them names. He ridicules them. He calls them liars. He makes them look stupid, even though they're not stupid, because they're confronting him. They'll confront him in his face, and he'll call them all kinds of names. Just like what he called veterans, losers, and you know, like losers. Like they just got hustled by America. They're losers. Not giving them the chance, not giving them the respect, saying that, hey man, I mean they put their life on the line for the United States, even for his old dirty ass to be a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? We put our lives there so that he can do that. When he called a lot of people, you know, he called them a lot of other countries. He called them shithole countries. You know what I'm saying? When he called the NFL players sons of bitches. You see what I'm saying? That's a form of, you know what I'm saying, suppressing the opposition, don't you think? So this is what Antifa is fighting. And this is what people are not understanding. So Antifa is fighting what they believe is fascism. Antifa is not even a group. They're just a movement. It's just an ideal. And there's a lot of groups that feel that we are moving into a fascist state right now, a police state, right? And as you see what Trump does, he says he's the law and order president. And when he can't handle the truth or he can handle the pressure, he sends out these military guys out there and boom, like he says, oh, 30 minutes, I'll shut it down. 30 minutes. That's what he says, right? That's tyranny. That's a form of fascism. But see, what happens is the right side people, the ones with the Trump flags and the Blue Lives Matter flags and the Don't Tread on Me flags, the Caucasian people on that side, they want to act as if these Antifa and Black Lives Matter, which are fighting for equality of the people, they're fighting for the people, they're fighting against a fascist regime, a tyrant. These guys over here on this side, they don't want to hear that. They're right, and these guys are wrong. And that's what I'm seeing. And that's why I feel that something is definitely wrong in America, because when we're talking about patriotism, you're talking about, what was that again? Hold on, let me go right back. Patriotism. A person who loves their country and, if necessary, will fight for it. So these people are fighting for their country. Do you not think? Even the Black Lives Matter movement is fighting for their country, a country that hates them. But they're still fighting for it because they want equality. You see, they helped build this country. This country and this economy was built on the back of slaves. The cotton industry, the sugar industry, all that was built by slaves. That's how America got rich. That's how the South got rich. And a lot of countries in the world actually made money off that. So if it wasn't for the slaves here in the United States and other parts in the world, those countries wouldn't have been rich like they are now. But we like to on the Caucasian side, well, I don't say we because I'm not Caucasian, but them on the right side, with the Blue Lives Matters and the Trump flags, they always want to act like, oh no, these people are invading our country and these people are, just criminals and they're doing this and they're doing that and blah, 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 blah. But let's talk about it though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, patriotism. Isn't this the same thing we had to fight the British? I'm gonna leave that there for you guys to kind of think about that. When we fought the British, we didn't fight, we weren't nice with them. The American Revolution was built on violence. And in order for change to happen, there had to be violence. And I feel that, and I'm not Antifa, so don't come at me crazy because I'm not Antifa. I'm just a veteran. I'm just a Puerto Rican Latino veteran that's in the middle, watching both sides, acting a damn fool. Okay, I'm not Antifa, but I'm seeing their point. They are fighting against fascism. We are damn near borderline a fascist country right now. And if you guys on the other side with the other Trump flags and the, Blue Lives Matter flags, if y'all don't see that, then y'all are purposely being blind, because then you're not being patriotic. You're being racist. And let's get that clear, because a lot of people are saying that they're patriotic, but you only want to step in because Black Lives Matter and Antifa, you're really being on some racist stuff. So it's almost like you don't want the rest of America to be equal. So you're saying it, you're under the banner of patriotism. You guys are patriotic because and I've seen it already where a truck ran over a couple of guys because they didn't agree with what they were saying. And they're spraying OC spray with a big old Trump flag in their back. To me, that Trump flag is the new Confederate flag. That's how I see it. That Blue Lives Matter flag is the new Confederate flag. That's how I see it nowadays. And it's sad. It's sad because, and I'm not saying anything against the police. I have family members, I have friends that are police. I'm not against the police. But however, the media likes to say, oh, they're just some bad apples. Well, let's get rid of those bad apples. They shouldn't be police at all. And if they're bad apples, get rid of them, get rid of their credentials, and let's fix this, because this is not right. And I keep telling people, I'm like, man, it's going to get to a point where people are going to start shooting police because they're tired of it. And guess what just happened recently? Some police officer just got shot. I want to say California or Oregon or something. I'm not sure. Somebody just got shot for being a police officer, point blank. Again, violence will create the change that is needed. Antifa and Black Lives Matter, if that's what they have to use, that's what they're doing. Can't get mad at them. They're patriots. They're patriots just like the other ones on the Trump side with the Blue Lives Matter flags. Both groups are patriots. Except if we remember when the Civil War was going on, you had the Union and the Confederates. One side was fighting for everybody to be equal. The other side was fighting to maintain their slaves as property. It seems like that's what we're still seeing. It seems like Antifa and Black Lives Matter is now the Union. And it seems like Blue Lives and Trumpers are the new Confederates. That's just my take on it. And I know you guys are not going to like it, and that's okay. That's what I'm here for. We're here to talk truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you know. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you guys what I'm seeing, what my opinion is of what I'm seeing. Okay? So let's talk about socialism, because that's a big word that's been flying around for a while. Okay? Socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. In other words, everybody's equal. There's no gap. There's no rich, middle class, poor. Everybody's either rich or middle class or poor. That's what socialism is. I mean, it can be bad. It can be bad, but I think if done in the right way, I think it's okay. I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's too bad. If everybody's equal, then we really wouldn't have too many problems. And I'm not saying that I'm for socialism. I'm not saying that I'm against capitalism. But the problem that I see with capitalism is that because not everybody is equal, not everybody really has the chance or the opportunities that they say that they have. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I see the problem with capitalism. When you have it's almost like saying a mafia, a political mafia that has control of everything. You have a business mafia, a corporation mafia, should I say, or cartel. And they're the ones in control of everything. And so if they don't eat, nobody else eats. Now, as long as they're eating, everything's okay. And that's the problem that I see with capitalism. Because capitalism creates a corrupt system and it creates wealth gaps. Capitalism is great. Yes, it gives you the opportunity to compete against each other. And you make 50,000 and I make 60,000. The other guy makes 80,000. So we're both striving to make 80,000. But the other guy above him is making 200,000. So he's striving to make 200,000. The other guy's behind this guy is trying to make 80,000. And then when he makes 200,000, then these guys are like, well, damn, I want to make 200,000 too. So that's great. That is great. The spirit of competitive, that's awesome. Only if everybody is equal. That's the problem. Not everybody is equal. If you're black, brown, or anybody else other than a white person, you're more than likely going to be on the lower end of the scale. And to be fair, there are some white people that are poor as well. And those are the white people that kind of understand what we go through as black and brown people because they're down there too. They're poor too. But the majority of the folks, they don't give a damn. They got boats, they got planes, They got fast cars, big houses, big land. They got corporations. They don't care. They're living their life. They don't even pay taxes. Some of them don't pay taxes, like Donald Trump. Some of them do pay taxes. And when the taxes get too high, guess what? They leave the United States and they go somewhere else because it's either no taxes over there or it's cheaper over there. So that's what I see wrong with capitalism. But let's talk about communism, though, because you have one side, you have socialism. On the other side, you have communism. They talk about the Democrats are going for a socialist country. They want a socialist agenda. That's what they say on the right side. They say that the left wants a socialist country. Well, I say the right is borderline communist, right? Communism is a political theory derived from Karl Marx as well, advocating class war, leading to a society in which property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid accordingly to their abilities and needs. It's almost similar to socialism. They're both very similar. See what I'm saying? I don't want communism or socialism, but I really would like a capitalist system that includes everybody. Not say that they include it, but then they don't. You see what I'm saying? That's what I want. That's what I want. I want a capitalist country that's going to include everybody and give everybody the opportunity to make money. Not a country that's gonna, you know, that's gonna give advantages to predominantly Caucasian people. They get all the advantages. They go to the good schools. Um, the parents have the good jobs, so they make good money. They're the ones that pay for their kids' education, so they have a great school and they get the great jobs and they're able to make the great money. And so they're able to get, a land that the grandfather passed down to them that's already been worked on, that's already been developed, and they just add some new things to it. And they'll come and sell that piece of land for millions. That's great. That is great if everybody could do the same thing. That's the problem with capitalism nowadays, or in the United States, is that not everybody, has that ability to do that. Um, while the Caucasians are inheriting land and inheriting money and inheriting businesses, the blacks and browns have to we have to pull some tricks because we're on the lower poor level, so we don't have a piece of land we can inherit, you know. My mom and dad probably not together, so they're probably not working. And if they are working, the job is not so great because probably my father had to do some crimes to survive. So therefore, he probably is a criminal now, and now he can get certain things. He can't do certain things either. My mother is raising 5 kids by herself. She definitely can't go to school. And if she goes to school, she has to get a loan because we don't have family that's gonna pay our college tuition. She's got to get a loan from the government. And then let's say she gets her master's degree and a bachelor's. You know what I'm saying? And then what's that gonna cost? $200,000 that she has to pay back now. So she gets a great job, but most of it's got to pay off that loan. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the problem with American capitalism, is that not everybody is equal. Not everybody is in the same playing field. That's the difference. Now, if everybody was in the same playing field, then hey, so be it. Let's compete. Let's compete the right way. We're all equal. There's no excuses. We can compete now. But that's not what it is nowadays. Okay? So the difference between capitalism and socialism, this is the differences. So capitalism is an economic system where means where the means of production are owned by private individuals. Companies live by the profit motive. They exist to make money. All companies and owners and managers. All companies have owners and managers. It is the government's job by enforcing laws and regulations to make sure that there's a level playing field, for privately run companies. We all know there's not a level playing field. Now, socialism. The means of production, such as money and other forms of capital, are owned by the state or public. It's a little bit harder, right? Under a socialist system, everyone works for wealth. That is, in turn, distributed to everyone. That doesn't sound too bad, I don't think. Then you have the government decides how wealth is distributed amongst the people. They provide for the people. See, the problem, and that's the problem with socialism, and that's what I don't agree with socialism, is where they allow the government to get involved in everything you do. And the government takes your money and they give your money to this person, that person, and this person. If you have a piece of land and they take your piece of land and you get 20 people in, that's not cool. I don't agree with that. But as far as the wealth, being distributed to everyone equally, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's pretty decent. That's pretty cool, actually. That means everyone in America would be able to have at least an acre piece of land to grow their own food, be self-sufficient. That'd be cool. You know what I'm saying? That means everybody would have medical. That means there shouldn't be no poor or rich, because everybody's pretty much under the same banner, which would be okay, I think, except for the government getting involved with everything. That's not cool. So and those are the problems that you have with socialism and capitalism. Capitalism, I think, is great, it's wonderful, but like it says right here in the bottom, it is the government's job by enforcing laws and regulations to make sure there's a level playing field. There is not a level playing field. That's the problem. And that's the problem that we need to resolve. See? So let's talk about this right here. This is this was the Battle of Bunker Hill. And this is this is a little picture from Yale University. Basically, these were American patriots. This is patriotism in your face. And this is Americans fighting the British. And, you would ask, well, why were they fighting the British? Just because they didn't like them? No. I mean, they were the colonizers. They were colonizers. They were taking your money and taking your taxes, and they were doing what they wanted because they were the colonizers. And we were the colonizees, right? We were the ones that were trying to be like them, but in our own independent, sovereign way. But we couldn't, because we were still under the flag of Mother Britain. So there was a revolution. And we said, nah, bro. We want to be independent. We want to be independent from you. So that's where the creation of the United States began. The original American patriots, the reluctant citizen soldiers who won the Revolutionary War back in 1775. 700 British regulars were ordered into the Massachusetts countryside in April 19 of 1775 to capture the colonists' military stores in Concord. A group of 70 militiamen, not even military, militiamen, regular civilian guys, just like me and you, assembled in nearby Lexington. They were yeoman farmers and shopkeepers, mostly in their 30s and 40s, who were putting their families and property at risk, armed with hunting rifles and ancient muskets. They took to the field against the British tyranny. So my question is, all these guys that call themselves 3%ers and Oath Keepers and Proud Boys and all these other militias that are here in the United States, the NFAC and all these other groups, you know, why are we not fighting the tyrannical government that we have? Just like Antifa and Black Lives Matters are. Instead of you guys want to fight against Antifa, instead of fighting against Black Lives Matter, why don't we all unite together and get rid of this tyrannical government that we have? See, people don't think like that. People want to think black and white. You're black, I don't like you. You're white, I don't like you. You're Hispanic, I don't like you. Instead of correcting this capitalist system that we have and make sure that everybody is on a equal playing field, we're not doing that. We're protecting Trump and his goons over there on the other side, on the right side. They want to, protect Trump and the police. Well, the police are the same ones that come and beat your ass and shoot you. Crazy, huh? Trump is the one that's saying all this crazy stuff and making the police do what they got to do. And y'all don't want to see all that. Y'all don't want to admit to it. Y'all don't want to see the flaws. Y'all just want to blame Antifa and Black Lives Matter because they're out in the streets rioting and burning shit down. But is that not what the same thing that these British people were doing against the colonies? Weren't they burning shit down and, fucking shit up and, with their little hunting rifles and shooting people? Weren't they doing the same thing? But they're patriots because they were doing that. They're considered patriots. But Black Lives Matter and Antifa are not considered patriots. You guys want to call them terrorists. I don't know. We got a lot to do, America. All right? We got a lot to do, America. That's all I can say. We got a lot to do. And with that said and done, I want to thank you for watching Taino Lifestyle. Again, I am your host, Chino. Think about the things that I said today. There's I know I put a lot of things out there that y'all should be thinking about. And instead of going to war with each other, let's think about how we can unify and go against this government that's being very tyrannical right now. Okay? Peace and love. All honors to the East. Again, I am your host, Chino. Like, share, and subscribe.